Thank you to Christina and Alyssa for inviting me. My name is Brianne Malloy. I manage the 3D labs at Blue Edge, and my responsibilities include creating estimates, file fixing, machine operation, post-processing of 3D models, and shipping. And me and my team typically take about 2 to 3 business days to do this per order. One thing that I really love about my job is that I get to work on new projects that come from all different places every day. And also the fact that I've been able to learn about new processes and materials and what design constraints to use per material and what technologies to recommend for different applications of AM to clients. And to talk a little bit about how I got here, I also wanted to mention, that the partnerships that you build in 3D printing are majorly important because oftentimes your lab isn't going to have the technology that one of your clients needs. So really part of working for a print service is the relationships that you build and the partnerships. So I listed some of my relevant work experience to talk about how I kind of got to where I am. And one thing is that every single step of the way, I've made lifelong friends. And I'm super lucky because the people that I was with, my coworkers, mentors, and my bosses have been the people that have encouraged me to keep learning and move on and grow to bigger and better things. But I also realized, I've always kind of felt like I was where I needed to be, but wasn't too clear on what the next steps were for me. And in Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In, she talks about how careers can be a lot more like jungle gyms than these linear ladders. And since I even made some lateral moves or even took pay cuts at certain points to learn about a new technology, all the while continuing my education and networking, this jungle gym definitely felt like a better way to describe my experience so far. And I, at first, wasn't sure how I was going to organize this to talk to you guys about my journey. But one thing that does make me a pioneer is that I've been venturing out to these events, getting myself to conferences and meetups, and it's been the people that I've met that have really made me able to keep my momentum and stay inspired. And because of that, somebody that I met at Rapid, or I could call somebody I met in my product design class, and new business opportunities can go from there. And similarly, I can invite some of my coworkers out to this event tonight, and maybe they can find some new opportunities too. I also use what I learn at work for fun, and I also use what I learned for fun to enhance my capabilities at work. So for instance, I made these cool little bookends that are also elephants out of stacked contour 3D prints, or I made this and I designed this Settlers of Catan set that I laser cut that me and my roommates play on all the time. I also make these like weird hinges and wind-up toys that have no purpose at all. When there's some downtime at work when I'm playing with the printers. Or sometimes I like to test out what's the proper tolerance between a polyjet or an FDM print, or what kind of minimum thicknesses are good to use. And these are good things that you can apply to any kind of order that might come in that you can use that information to use. And of course, the one time Alyssa, Kat, and I spent about 24 hours teaching ourselves how to hydro dip in my bathtub. These little endeavors can be silly, but they also come with like really great lessons that you can use to make yourself better at what you do. And what I want to leave you with is that we don't have to think about our careers like they're these boring linear ladders, but we also don't have to think about them as these crazy, chaotic, aimless jungle gyms either. We can apply the process of trial and error and design thinking that a lot of us in this room are familiar with to our careers and say, the process of design thinking, you empathize, define, come up with an idea, and test that idea. Then what you learn after you test that idea, you take back to earlier stages in the process a little bit more informed. And in 3D printing and design, there aren't clear-cut step-by-step paths for you. That's what makes this field so interesting, and everybody has a different path. And it's also very competitive and complex. And so not thinking about my career as a crazy roller coaster and putting it into this lens really helped me start to think about my next move. Because sometimes when you hit a wall in the maze that you're in, you have to take a couple steps backwards to get around it. And that's what successful people do. And even more successful people will drag their friends around those walls with them. Thank you.